Good Voch, Rabbi Isai. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome all the guests. So first of all, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name, Tzadik? Kalman Hellman from Chicago. Been with us since Yevamos. First time I ever met you. Wow. It's a schos. And your children, what are their names? Ari Yehuda, who does the daf, and? Listen. Shalom Aleichem. And what's your name again?
David Lowenstein.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome. All the way from what, Baltimore or? Detroit. All right. So, Be'ezer Hashem, the shir is l'schus. All those who were injured during the war, all the Chayalim, all the hostages, they should return home safely. All the family members of hostages, of Chayalim, of Niftarim, they should have an achama, they should be in good state of mind. We'll just read a few emails and then we'll get going. Dear Rebelli, I came to MDY Shabbos 3 weeks ago because I needed some chizuk in my life. This is a person who wasn't part of MDY. As I was going through some personal family tragedy. And boy, oh boy, did I get chizuk. Firstly, people were asking me, if you're not MDY, why are you going? Are you going to feel awkward? The answer is no. Everywhere I turned, people were just so nice. By the time I left on Sunday, I was signed up. And here we are, 21 days later, having missed the daf with you. Just needed to get a piece of the rack. Currently, the head counselor for the zone camp, aka Ura's boy division. Ura put out this song attached called Kim Lev the Rabbi Kedai to listen to. We'll have tons of Anna. Maybe even play for 30, 45 seconds during this year. People will love it. All the best. Someone you inspired big time. Yaakov Levitin. Let me see if I can play it here. I don't know if you'll hear it. Here we go. It's ganz geschmack.
So if you're gonna kill me, don't make me pay, because
you know the song? Okay. Shkoyach, beautiful. Averbuch. Hey. Hey. That's how he starts off. Hey. I'm 14 years old and I started to do the daf by Soita. I'm in 9th grade in Yeshiva Darchei Torah. Yes, Darchei Torah. I was in New York and they asked me to speak in Darchei Torah, and I love Darchei Torah. That's, I went there for a bunch of years when I was a kid. And it's very difficult for me to leave and go speak. But I did speak yesterday at Shari Adirim. It's a very chashiv yeshiva, and it's here in Chicago. So not a chas v'shalom something about Darchei Torah, but Shari Adirim is a gebaldik place. We're learning Masechtas Ksubas. There's a voluntary shir to try to finish it. We just finished the third parak. In the third parak, there's a big sugya of Kim Levi the Rabbi. Today's daf has to do with it. I hope the Olam over there knows the song Kim Levi the Rabbi. Furthermore, at the end of the third parak, like the last blot and a half, it has to do with the Baba Kama. I knew it because of Rebbe. I'm thanking Rebbe on how much Rebbe taught me and showing everyone how geschmack it is to do the daf and how much it affects your daily life. Thank you, Aaron Biber. Again. Chazrin Chatzi Shas for Binyamin Irli Hashem Yinkim Damai. I took a few blot in Masechtas Shabbos in the schus of HaKadosh Binyamin Irli Hashem Yinkim Damai. I just got up to Daf Yutes, and at the 27th minute mark, you were introduced for the first time to the idea to have a cruise ship for the Sima Shas. I have to admit, when I first started with MDY and heard the idea of the cruise ship for the Sima, I thought it was very far-fetched. But after the Shabbaton, I'm not sure if one cruise ship is going to be enough. Yochanan Itzkowitz. So a number of things. First of all, what happened was somebody says a joke, I think, the cruise ship. So I'm like, we're during COVID and things are not looking good. Let's just, make it geschmack. We'll talk about a cruise ship. I said it's not going to happen. But then as time goes along, people keep on saying, hey, what about the cruise ship? Now, what's very interesting is that when I go to different places, I ask people, so since when do you do the daf? So they like to tell me since brachas. I said, with me? Yeah, since brachas. Because the rule is that in order to go on the cruise, you have to be at least like Shabbos, brachas time. So a lot of people suddenly became Where were you the last 3 years? No, I've been here. Like tzaddik since, but he didn't say brachas. He said Yavamas, right? Yavamas. Unbelievable. And you're gonna keep on coming here. We need people like you. Live shurim. All right. What else do we have here? So let me just go back and say the sponsors, the Masechta, sponsor for the unity of Am Yisrael, kիצד the Regel. Sad, very sad story. Table 6. Beis Hashem won't be sad. This boy will have a rafua for Naftali Ben Channa, who was in a skiing accident almost 2 years ago and is paralyzed from his waist down. Reb Chaim said we should learn kיצד the Regel for him. Paralyzed, Nishmat זכריה בן משה, Nishmat זכריה בן יוסef. Paralyzed, rafua Shlima, Dvora, the mother of Gershon Ben Moshe. Paralyzed, Hatzlocha L'zechus Yosef Mayer ben Rochel and yidden worldwide. And paralyzed, Nishmat. Let me just make this a little bit so that Yosef doesn't kill me. Okay, here we go. Nishmat Chaneh bat Elimelech and Nishmat Mendel ben Pinchas. The art is sponsored. Yosef ben Chai is sorry for all the schusim that come from supporting Limud Torah. So 2 things. First of all, if you haven't done so, I think only half of what we wanted to accomplish in terms of half a shas was taken. There's many more dapim. It's very, very easy. You go on, you just listen to the shir while you're doing something else, and you put it on 1.7 speed. It's 30 minutes. You skip the emails, whatever. The other thing is, we're still looking for sponsors for volume 2 of Bava Kama. You can go to sponsormdy.com. Any amount is appreciated. All right. So I have a very simple shiloh. If somebody has a dangerous dog, let's say, has a pit bull, and the pit bull, leilo, kills somebody. It's ma'aseh here in America. People get killed all the time from pit bulls and dogs like that. Halachically speaking, what do you do to the dog? Killed, probably.
That's more important, I guess, because you kill the bull.
Yeah, the Torah talks about a bull. Torah talks about a bull. Is there enough community between a bull and a dog?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, L'chayr, you're right. We'll see that a little later on. I don't know if people correlate. They say, yeah, the Torah says kill a bull. I don't know if they put one and one together. There is no difference between a bull and a dog and a snake and any animal. And an animal that kills a person, a bird, a parrot that kills a person, it has to be put to death. If we had Beis Hamikdash and everything else. So we're in the middle of a sugya. Well, that's that. That's the song. We're in the middle of a sugya of Eisha Mishum Chitzai or Eisha Mishum Amaynai. Is fire. You lit a fire and went out and caused damage. What happened here? Is it your force, your personal force that caused it? Or it's like your dog that went out and caused damage. It's like your bull that went out and caused damage. And we saw different nafkaminas yesterday. What if the fire is not yours? You took fire from somebody and did it. So if it's your mama and it's your dog, it's not your dog. If it's your fire, if your fire is your force, it's your force. Doesn't matter where it started from. And we're going to see some interesting things today. So we're holding Daf Beis, Amud Beis, Agud Erev Shabbos, or Motzi Shabbos in Eretz Yisrael. 5 lines from the bottom of Chav Beis, Amud Beis. Omar Rava, Kro Mas Nisa, Misael Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim is the one that says that fire Yechayev because of it's your force. It seems like the pasuk corroborates with Reb Chaim. Why? Because it says, so first of all, Kro Umas Nisa. I have 2 rayas, says Rava, a pasuk and a brisa. Kro D'chsiv Kiseitze Eish. So let's see this pasuk for a second. Kiseitze Eish Umatza Kaitzim. A fire will go out. That's a lashon of human intervention or not human intervention? No human intervention. It's Kiseitze Eish. It goes on its own. It destroys on its own. It has a mind of its own, so to speak. Umatza Kaitzim. Finds thorns, V'nechal Godish, a bale of hay, or Yakamo, Yasada, Shalim Yishalim. Then it says, Hamavir Ez HaBeira. The human being is the one that lit it and is responsible here. Hamavir, he lit it up. So the beginning of the pasuk seems like it happened by itself. It decided to go by itself. Then it says Hamavir. So says the Gemara, says Rava, happened by itself. It's why is the person the mavir? Because it's his force that caused it. And where do you see a raya to Reb Chaim from the Brisa? To explain this exact pasuk that's on the screen. This pasuk. It starts off. Basically, the Brisa is explaining Rava's raya. It's interesting how he made it into a pasuk and a brisa, which the brisa itself is explaining this pasuk. It's a nezek that came out of his property that caused damage. It went by itself. But the end of the pasuk, it says hamavir. That's you that did it. To teach you, this mamish mefurusha brisa that, like Reb Chaim, that says mefurish. It doesn't say Isha Mishum Mamoinai. It's your force, and that's why you're chayiv. Omer Rava Kashi Leila Abayo says Rava, my friend, when they were children, they were still friends. The whole Shas, they're friends. He says, my friend Abayo, that's the good kasha. According to the Mendel, it says that fire comes from your. It's the reason why you're chayiv on fire. The svara of the Torah is because it's your chetz. It's like a bullet that comes out of your gun. It's your force that caused it. Tamum be'eish, the paterachmona heichem mishkachas lo. Here's a picture. Tamun is a hidden object, and says by fire you pater from a hidden object. Now the question is, if fire is your force, so obviously if you go ahead and you do something with your hands, there's no ptur of tamun. Where do we see a ptur? We see interesting pturim comes to regel, sarabim, this, tzroiros. We see some interesting pturim, but we never find the ptur when it comes to a human being. Adam muad loilam, a person is always chayev. Shoygig mezid oines rotzin tamun, not tamun. Where do you find a heter for tamun? Here's tamun. So if we have to understand, according to Reb Chaim, why would there be something called tamun, and how does it work? So we have to explain. So before I forget, I just want to say there's a famous pasuk. So I forgot, one of the Rebbe said that there's 3 halachas, or 3 ideas that we can learn from an arrow, and it comes to Bnei Anurim, the children. Number 1, he says, that if you're off in your chinuch a little bit, like when you shoot a missile, you're aiming it at a country. If you're off by an inch in the beginning, so by the time it gets to that country, you'll be off by 25 miles, whatever it is, right? So when it comes to chinuch, you have to be on. Okay. Then the more you put into it, the more you pull it back, then the more you reap payros. And then he says, but if you pull too much and you do too much, then the string snaps and hits you right in the face. So that's also not good. Too much. So you have to. It's a delicate balance. But the more you put in, the more kaychas you put in, the more you get out. So v'nichale. So again, the question is, how do we find an idea of tamun in the Torah by fire? V'nichale, he explains, it's a beautiful thing, he says. V'naflo gader shloi machmas dleika. Here, so here's the picture. Very, very nice. We have a person's chatzar, his yard. There's a nice wall, and there's another chatzar on the other side. So look what happened. When he lights this fire, his arrow is limited to the wall. He shot the bullet, he shot the gun. The bullet can only go up until a certain point. So at the time that the arrow left his hand, there was a wall, and it was limited to that wall. What happens in this case? Comes a goat, stands, let's say, on the wall, knocks down the wall. Threw in a goat, anything. The wall fell down after he lit the fire. It happens. He lets a bonfire in his backyard, he's making a barbecue. There's no reason to be any damage whatsoever. It's contained. So his chetz is limited. There is no halacha of chetz now. Now that the fire jumps the wall and the wall fell down for another reason, so it's no longer chetz. There is no chetz. Chetz was limited up to here. Yeah.
So in American law, you'd say that the person is responsible for the reasonably foreseeable consequence of his action. So
Reasonably foreseeable consequences of his action, says our attorney, in-house attorney Steve Jacobowski. Oh, let's see if I get there. Hold on. 1 second. I might have skipped here. Hold on. Yes. The Hasam Kol Chitzov. So, yeah. So the first part is there was no chetz. That's it. His chetz was up to the wall. Now the wall fell down. He didn't know. What is it called again, Steve?
The reasonably foreseeable consequence of his action.
The reasonable foreseeable consequence of his actions. Good thing I'm not a lawyer or a doctor, because especially now with my memory, I can't even remember simple words. Can't remember your name. Okay. Ihachi asked the Gemara, great. Beautiful. You explained it nicely. There's no chetz. What does that have to do with Tamun? Ihachi linyan goli nami kol chitzov. So even if this object that you destroyed is out in the open, you should also say you're not chayiv because there's no arrow. The arrow was limited to the wall. This is beyond the wall, beyond your foreseeable. I already forgot what he said. Huh? Reasonable foreseeable. But it's even more than that. Your chetz is up to this wall. It's not an invisible. It's a real wall. When you shot it, there was a wall. So halachically it went up to the wall. I can't be mechayev you because a goat knocked down the wall. That's not you. That's something else. El mando omar. So you have to say, says the Gemara, unbelievable. Now this puts a twist like we don't, and we stay with this. According to Reb Chaim, says that a fire is your arrow, it's your force. When I cannot get a person for an arrow, like in this case, the arrow is out of here, it's gone. There is no more arrow past the wall. I'm going to get you for mamaynai. Now it turns into your dog. The fire is your dog. And there was a wall here, but your dog went beyond the wall. Okay, somebody knocked down the wall. And the dog damaged beyond the wall. So now I'm chayiv because of mamaynai, because it's your property that caused damage. So what are you going to ask me? But how should he know about the wall? Oh. He had the opportunity to fix the wall, and he did it. So in terms of the chetz, it doesn't matter. Even though you have the opportunity to fix the wall and you did it, there is no more chetz. Because arrow only goes based on the moment that you shot the arrow. At that moment, there was a wall. I'm not chayiv anymore. It came down and I was able to put it back up? No, that's not my problem. Because at the time that I shot it, it was up until the wall. That's my chiyuv up until the wall. But there's a new chiyuv. It's called the chiyuv of your property. Nothing to do with your force. If you have a dog and it's in your backyard, foreseeable or not foreseeable, there was a wall and it came down and you were able to put the wall back up, they warned you and they said, now you're chayiv if you didn't put up the wall. And it went into the other chatzar and damage. So Mela, even according to Rabbi Yochanan admits to Rish Lakish. So we had a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. What is fire? Rabbi Yochanan says it's the arrow. Rish Lakish says it's your property. Now the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says it's also your property. So then where's the difference between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish? It's like a bull. Your fire turns into like a bull. You didn't close the door in front of it, so now you're chayiv. You knew about there's a problem. Your bull is about to escape. They warned you. You have a fire. You're right. When you shot the fire, there was a wall. But right now, today, there's no wall. And they warned you about it. If they didn't warn you, okay. But they warned you. So you should have gone and picked up the wall. Prevented the fire from escaping. You didn't? That's your bull escaping.
Whose wall is it?
It doesn't matter. Shared wall. You had the opportunity to come with a extinguisher and put it out. In terms of chetz, you don't have to. You're not mechuyev to. You shot a bullet at a wall. You're in a gun range. You shot a bullet and there was a wall there. So then someone comes and takes the wall down. You're not chayiv. You don't have to go put up a wall, because when you shot it, it was 100% mutter for you to shoot. There's a wall. Some shugana came and took down the wall. That's his problem. But when it's your property, it's different than a bullet. When it's your dog, you can't say, "Oh, there's a wall there." So what if there's a wall? But now there is no. So make sure your property doesn't go damaged. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, that he holds both chetz and mamoin, my benayu. What's the difference? In other words, so the question is more, when the fire is yours, that's the question. When the fire is not yours, so according to Rish Lakish, there's a big nafkamina. If the fire is not yours, you're not chayiv at all. Right? We didn't understand it so well, but that's what he says. Rish Lakish says, if you take someone else's fire, it has to be your property. It's not your property, you're not chayiv. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you are chayiv. So we do have a nafkamina. But in your fire, where's the nafkamina between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish? So, right, according to, says the Gemara, so nezek tsar ripui sheves boishes, but no boishes. So no boishes, will just throw it right away. There's no boishes because he didn't intend to embarrass the person. It wasn't intentional. But if you hold it's your force, like Rebbe Yochanan holds it's you, when you damage someone, you have to pay these 4 things. If it's your dog that damages someone, the only thing you have to pay is nezek. You don't have to pay, you have to pay damages. You don't have to pay for medical bills and all that stuff. The 4 things, the not being able to go to work and the total of 4 things, you don't have to pay when it's your property. When it's you yourself, like Rebbe Yochanan says, you yourself, it's your force, then you are chayiv. So that would be the nafkamina between Rebbe Yochanan and Rish Lakish, whether or not you have to pay the 4 things. Weiter. Zog the Gemara alacharara mishalim. I'll just say this because it's a short almond. It's stam. Throw it out there. I thought about it while I was learning, so I said, okay, fine. There was a king that was very good at what is it called, archery. So he heard that there's like a world class archer in his kingdom. So he said, I want to see it. Like, let's have a little bit. Let's duel it out. So they brought the guy in. So the guy says, you go first. The king was able to hit the bullseye, within, let's say the bullseye, he got 3 arrows within the bullseye. The other guy, he couldn't get into the bullseye. He got it like on the side, but every one of his arrows hit each other. So they said, listen, the king wins. The king is the better archer. So, very good. As he was leaving the king, he whispered to the king, he says, listen, you noticed I'm able to hit the same arrow. I could also do the same thing in the bullseye. So why didn't you? It's not the covet. It's not covet for the king. I didn't want to up the king or to give the king. So the king was very, very excited. He says, okay, I'll give you kach v'kach, whatever. Matnas melech. Had he shown the king that he's the better archer, nothing. He would have maybe they would cut off his hand. Who knows what? So the yisoid is that not always do you have to win. A lot of times it's better not to win. Even if you know you could win, say, ki'ilu not. I know my kids will make fun because I'm very competitive. So anytime I play basketball, I'm like that guy, when they were 3 years old, they try to have swatted. But, okay, not always do you have to win. Ala charora mishalim. Okay, so going back to this case, okay, we see it again. Why not? The dog takes a bread, and on the bottom of the bread there's a hot coal. As you can see, if you look closely, he drops the coal and causes a lot of damage. So the Mishnah says on the bread you have to pay the full amount. That's shen. So Gemara says man chayiv. Who's chayiv? The Baal Kelev, the owner of the dog. I'm mentioning dog, and it's Erev Shabbos. The Dubner Magid, he came to a city and he wanted to give his drusha. So the Gabbaim said, no. Over here, the Olam doesn't like Torah. You can give us jokes, maisas, mishalim, but no Torah, please, no Torah. So he said, okay, I'll tell you a mashal. It says there's a guy that was supposed to go through the forest, and they said you can't go through the forest. There's a lot of wild, crazy dogs there. He said, don't worry about it. I'm going to say, and the dog can't touch me. It's fine. It's okay. The guy comes back to shul. He's stitches on his face, on his hand, bandaged. He said, what happened? He said, the dogs wouldn't let me say the pasuk. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Al charor mishal. Man chayiv bal kelev. L'chayiv nami bal gacheles. What happened to the owner of the coal? So according to Rabbi Yochanan, on the actual Godish, how much do you pay? Half a nezek. Now, I have to say, the Gemara is going to change its mind soon. But the Gemara understood that we're talking about two different bailam here. There's a guy that owns the Godish, a guy that owns the bread. So, the Gemara is asking, according to Rabbi Yochanan, they only pay half. The Bal Gacheles should also pay half. Why? Because his property damaged. His Gacheles damaged. According to Shlokish, the guy should pay the whole thing. The whole thing you should pay. It's mamish, it's property. But so his mama went in and damaged. So says Gemara, no, he's not chayiv. He took care of it. He made sure that it shouldn't happen. So what do you mean he watched it? How did he watch it if a dog was able to get in there? I think I have a picture here. Oh, dog went underneath the fence. He dug out a hole and he went underneath. That you should know that for the most part, a dog could get underneath the fence. So if so shouldn't you? Then you should be liable. What kind of fence do you put up? You're your owner. How do you watch your flame? A dog was able to get in. Says Taisus, no. All you have to do as much as normal people do to keep people out. You don't have to worry about all these other circumstances. A dog coming in, that's not your thing. I just saying, in Eretz Yisrael, I had this massive bookcase. I actually still have it in my house. Big bookcase. And it was like this far away from the wall. So I brought a bunch of my friends. It was like 8 people. We're pulling and pulling. And one guy got between the bookcase and the wall and pushing. And we were all, couldn't move it. And then I remembered that this Gemara reminded me of this, that stam windows in Eretz Yisrael, even though they have metal bars, are like they're wide open. Like this Gemara. Why? Because the Arabs come with the car jacks and they put it by the bars and they just go like this and opens up. So I took a car jack, I went downstairs, took my car jack, put it between the wall and my bookcase, and went like this. Man, it was like that. The whole thing moved, no problem. Moved it a foot, seriously. I put a piece of wood on the wall, put a piece of wood on my bookcase so it didn't cause damage to the wall. Huh? You see how the Gemara just reminds me of different things, random things, no shaykhs. No, seriously, I mean, my neighbor in Eretz Yisrael, beautiful metal, things. What it does is it keeps kids from falling out windows. But not the Ganavim, it's a joke, literally a joke. They come with the car jack. Okay, anyway, just thought if you have a place in Eretz Yisrael, you should know about it, or in America. So the Gemara, because a door is nothing. It's as if it doesn't even exist. The dog in 5 minutes just goes like this to the dirt and goes right in. As we see in different places in the world, the dogs, the rats, they know how to go like this and get under the ground. It's not a problem. Guys, I'm talking about. So where exactly did this occur, the damage? The fire burnt some random person's bale. We learned that when it comes to Shen, it has to be in the Rishus of the Nizak. Says Gemara, in the Rishus of the Nizak, the dog stole the bread. You're only chayav, right? If the dog took bread from place A, stole it from place A, brought it to place B, and ate it in place B. Chayav or pater. So we actually had a sugim, zgalgal, the whole thing. Tosfos discusses it over here. And I had a big problem with that sugim. Baruch Hashem, I found this Tosfos all the way on Chav Gimel Amud Aleph. like towards the bottom, like I would say like 8 lines from Venir Lari. So basically, Tosfos says over here that there's Xeris HaKosov, that it's not about the taking, and I actually spoke about it then. It's not about taking the bread, it's about where you eat the bread. So certainly the bread has to be eaten in the Chatzar HaNizak, where he stole the bread. So then where was this bale of hay? Also in the Chatzar of the Nizak. Okay, so both were there. Fine. End the story. Nu sugya. Says the Gemara, Tifshoit, the pipara. So it's very interesting. How do we view the inside of the mouth of the cow? Maybe as a mushal, you have a car. And the car is in the rishus of the nizuk. What's the inside of the car? How do we view the inside of the car? You view the inside of the mouth. I have an animal that's owned by a mazik. The animal's inside the chatzar of the nizuk. What's the inside of the mouth? Is it the property of the mazik or the property of the nizuk? It's a big problem. Why? Because it says, and that's basically what the Gemara is going to prove, it says that you have to eat, whatever the animal eats is in the property of the one that was damaged. So if the inside of the mouth is considered the property of the damager, it's his behema, it's his car, it's the inside of his animal, so then you never chayav. So the Gemara says, it has to be kechatza nizik dami, top of chav gimel amud aleph. Because if it is considered the property of the mazik, my boy riftach b'pum de kalboy. In other words, the simple meaning, the taich is, what is your bread doing in the mouth of my dog? Well, your dog took my bread. I didn't put it in there. Yeah. What we're saying is that it's in the wrong rishus. It's in the rishus of the mazik. Yeah, it didn't come in there. Rishus, the dog didn't have rishus to take it, but nevertheless, the Torah says that it has to be in the rishus hanizik, and it's not. So Tosfos sticks in. If you want to go with Tosfos says to explain a little bit better. What if the cheresh shadei kadim put it into the animal's mouth? The animal couldn't get it by itself, and a cheresh shadei kadim put it in there. That's what's going on here. So again, do we consider the mouth of the animal the property of the nizik or the property of the mazik? You're probably thinking to yourself, well, for sure, it's Reuven's animal, so it's Reuven's mouth. But if that's the case, the owner of the animal should be potter, because the cheresh shadei kadim put it in there. They're for sure not chayiv, and the animal's mouth, is considered the mazik, and the mazik is potter. Sure. Turning of the daf, sponsored by Chanan Averbuch, leilo Nishmat, my holy nephew, son of Robert, leilo Nishmat Yom Mayer Ben Zev David, and another sponsor, leilo Nishmat Binyamin Mayer Ben Zev David, Robert Early. The boilu pipara, you hear a boy say, Musar, for myself. I was in shul, and Noam Fix wrote to me, I'm here by Robert Early. I could put him on the phone. So I said, it was half like I'm in shul, half like I'm lazy. I'll do it later. So I said, I'll do it later. So I did do it later. I called him, but nobody picked up. And I missed my opportunity. Don't miss opportunities. Because we have the question, what's the mouth of the nizik, of the animal? Marty, what do I do? It's here for like the last 3 years. Doesn't go away. I know ENTs. I went to him. He says, I don't see anything. One of the top guys in the world. You know any other ENTs? You have another guy that's even better? It's better than him? Wow, I'm not going to say anything.
Edit that out.
They don't see what you're saying. And if you say, now I'm going to hopefully I'll get an email from one of the ENTs that's watching. What do they say? They like to say it's what is it called? When it comes up like at night, reflex. As a reflex, yeah. You should put your bed like this and this. I know all the tricks. Oh, so here the Gemara is asking obvious questions. If you say that the mouth of the animal is considered the owner of the animal's mouth, give me a good example of how it's possible that an animal eats and he's in the property of the damaged person. The mouth is the damager. So how could you be in the property of the damaged? Oh, one of my favorite Gemaras. We'll just show it for fun. Why not? Because of my friend Mary Kenny. We'll shut off the volume here. Oh no, that didn't work. Okay. Basically, the animal's rolling around, enjoying himself on top of fruit, and it crushes. Rashi says, like horses and chamoirim. Okay, I've seen this with my own eyes. They like to roll in the zebras like to roll around in the dirt. I've never seen a horse, but I guess this is the same kind of mishpacha. So what's going on here? So Rashi sticks in a beautiful thing. If you remember that Beis and Beis, all the way in the bottom, the Gemara brings this pasuk to teach us about Shen. So the Gemara says over here, you need this pasuk. Kasher yivair hagol, like the tooth will destroy atumai completely. There's nothing left. So if it's rubbing its back on a wall, there's a lot of things left. All the stones, all the bricks that fell down are still in the world. If it's rolling around on fruit, there's still fruit around. Ravina Omar Shof Tzalme. There's a beautiful $1 million picture on the wall, and he decided to scratch himself on the wall. What did he just do? He destroyed the painting. Ravashi Omar the Pasi Patsue. That he took the fruit, and with the power, he was able to push it into the mud or whatever it is. Now the fruit are worthless. Toshma. So this mice, I mentioned it with Rob earlier because he was my neighbor then. I hope he doesn't remember the mice. It's not one of my mice I like to talk about. But basically, there was an anti-Semite on my block on East 8th Street on Avenue P. And she let a dog, a German Shepherd, out on my daughter. And the dog scratched my daughter's face in front of me. So I'm not going to say exactly what happened to her. She wasn't by the time it was over, she wasn't in good shape. So Shaila is she chayiv or not chayiv? Because the cop said that, what do you mean? She didn't do anything. The dog did it. So I said, I don't understand. Could you tell a murderer that he didn't do anything? The gun did it? It's like, oh, it's different. So is there a time? I got a little scared when I started learning the sugya, but then I realized that over here the Gemara is talking about somebody else's dog. So the Gemara says like this: Tashma, Shisa boys akela. This is mamish the story that happened. You take a dog and you bring it to somebody. Here, go bite this person. So it's in the Gemara. I'm not making this up. Shisa boys akela, like this woman did. Big Rochel. Shisa boys akela. She caused, or the person caused the dog, somebody else's dog, to bite somebody. Shisa boys anochash. You take a snake, you go like this. Potter. Guy's Potter. This is more man Potter. Mishasa Potter, the guy that created the whole situation. Chayiv Bal Kelev. It seems like the Gemara is going to go away from this, at least the second part. That it seems like that the owner of the dog is chayiv. You hear this? I take your dog, I go over to somebody and say, go, bite. And he bites. So the owner of the dog is chayiv. Why? Because it's his property caused damage. The guy that did it, the Russia that did it, he's not chayiv because he didn't bite. It's not his property. As the Gemara, what if you tell me that the inside of the mouth of the dog is considered the property of the damager? Why is your hand in my mouth, in the dog's mouth? Meaning, again, it's hard to understand, but it's deeper than the meaning over here. In other words, the guy that owns the dog can say, where did the damage occur? the damage occurred inside the mouth of the dog. Inside the mouth of the dog, we said, is the chutzner of the mazik. It almost doesn't make sense, but he could have such a taina because it's in my property. Yes, I get that you put your property on the guy's hand and the whole thing, but at the end of the day, in terms of this nezek, he should be punished because it's not his property. It's you came into my property. Says Gemara, you trespassed. What were you doing in my? Why was your hand in my dog's mouth? Which reminds me of another mice I just thought about. My friend and I, we went to this used car sales place, and they had a Doberman pincher. I told my friend, don't go out of the car. The dog was coming over to the car. I said, don't go. He says, no, it's people are supposed to come here. It's just part of. So he comes out of the car, and the dog grabs his arm and latches on and wouldn't leave go. So I screamed to the owner. The guy comes out, and no matter what, he was pulling and yanking, smacking him in the head. At the end, he didn't have real damage, like didn't pierce the skin, but it was really, really tough. Like he couldn't get his hand down. He was trained. I don't know what it was. So you could say, why is your friend's hand in the dog's mouth? Ma'aseh Shaya, you could go ask him. His name is David Schwab. He lives in Flatbush. Ema potter af mishasa. Oh, so Gemara, you're right. Ema potter af mishasa. Nobody's chayiv here. The owner of the dog is not chayiv. He's not the one that caused this whole thing, and it's not his. And if you want, you could say halachically, it happened in his property. Your hand made it into his property. Because the dog took its canines, whatever they're called, the long teeth. So they were outside of the mouth. Outside of the mouth is already a different rishus. Tashma, hishach bois anachash. Reb Chaim asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Reb Chaim, my neighbor, the one that wrote all those farm, is very, very close to Reb Chaim. So he asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky, why does it say by Adam Rishon that he tried to kill the Nachash tried to kill Adam so he can marry Chava? It says Ma'im Gnuvim Taku. It's better that he was married, that she was married. It's much better for him. So Chaim Kanievsky told him because the Nachash didn't know that Gemara, he didn't know about the Ma'im, the positive Ma'im Gnuvim. But it comes out that had he learned in yeshiva the Nachash, so then he would have done it. I thought it's a natural thing. I didn't know you have to know the pasuk. Okay, I guess he's just laughing, making a joke. But Lu Yitzur, that he's right, that the Nachash knew the pasuk, then we wouldn't have nobody would ever die. We wouldn't have a Chet Adam Rishon because he would keep Adam Rishon alive. He wouldn't try to trip him up with the apple or whatever, and he would just marry Chava. Okay, fine. You take a snake and you make the snake bite somebody. You says we have machlokes. So this is a picture I found online. I've seen this done. If you go to these zoos or whatever, they take a snake and they put the fangs of the snake on a cup, and out comes poison. Right? That's how they extract poison.
Venom.
Huh? Venom. Thank you. Venom. So the question is, where's the venom? Is the venom in the fangs? And when you push the fangs in a certain way, the snake has no choice, but the venom just comes out. Or the venom comes out when the snake wants it to come out. At first, it bites you and then it could inject you with venom, or sometimes it doesn't inject. It's up to the snake, sort of thing. So what's not communion? Because if I take a snake, let's say I take a dog, and I hold him backwards, and I whack a guy over the head with the dog. What's the halacha? I'm chayiv. Who cares if I use the dog as a stick, as a sword? So if you take a snake, and if I go like this, 1,000%, the venom is going to come out because that's where the venom is. It's not like a bee or whatever that he has to sting you. If you just push down on the cup like they do in the zoo, the venom comes out. So I can go like this. So basically, I shot a guy. I took a knife and I killed somebody. What's the difference? So if you say Eretz Nachash Ben Shina v'Oimed, it's right there. Lufichach Makish, the guy that did it, B'Sayif, you got to kill him. He's a murderer, so you kill him. V'Nachash, but the actual animal that did it, Potter, you don't kill the snake. The snake had nothing to do with it. You force the venom out of the snake. But the snake has full control, whether you want it to come out or not. So you have to kill the snake. So that answers the question that it doesn't matter if it's a shar or a snake or a dog. you kill an animal that kills another human being, provided that the animal knew what he was doing and he had intent. Umakish pater. But the guy that put the snake, yes, he's a big rush, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of Gehenna in a special place for him up there, the whole thing. But in terms of, is he a Reitzeach? You can't say that he's, what is it called, the top Ritzich in America? When he thought about it, premeditated. It's not a premeditated murder, because sometimes the snake decides to emit the venom, sometimes not. But once again, we go back to this part, which needs a little bit more explanation. If you say that the mouth of the animal, the inside of the mouth of the animal is owned by the owner, what is your hand, your finger doing inside my snake's mouth? It's my rishos. Not that why is it doing there, but in terms of chiyuv, he can't be mechayev me 100%. He'll be chayev in other ways, but not Bezin cannot kill him. Says Gemara, to kill the snake, to be mechayev misa, that svara we don't use. Oh, what is it doing in my mouth? He's a killing snake. He's a snake that just killed a human being. The halacha is done. How do you know that if a snake or any animal kills a human being and he had no choice, he's the nicest dog in the world, but somebody, a guy came into the house and he attacked him and killed him, how do you know you have to put the dog to death? It's a very interesting halacha. A ganav comes in the middle of the night into your house. A Jewish guy, let's say, comes into the night, he's a ganav, fell in hard times. And the bull came and killed him. The dog came and killed him. So you'd say, what are you doing in my rishos? The sad halacha is hashar b'skila. You have to kill the bull. You have to kill the dog. Ubailam. What about the owner? Of course, the owner is potter. He doesn't have to pay the koifer, the value of the person. As the Gemara, why do you say that they're completely potter? What were you doing there? Who told you to come into my house in the middle of the night? Again, not American law, normal, common sense law. If you come into my house and there's a wild animal there in my house that kills you, it's your problem, not mine. So why in the world do you have to put the shard to death? It's not fair. You came into my house. My bull was protected. He doesn't kill people. But if you're going to go into his pen in the middle of the night, he might kill you. So why is it his fault? Why do you kill him? There's an animal that kills a human being, put him to death. That's it. Says Gemara, easy the Beit Tarbu. There's a family called Beit Tarbu, and the goats will come into Reb Yosef's property and eat up his vegetables and his grass and everything else. So Reb Yosef tells his famous Talmud, right? Reb Yosef is the one that lost his memory. He got sick and he forgot his Torah. And Abai used to, throughout Shas, Abai always reminds him, there's always a back and forth between Reb Yosef and Abai. So he says to Reb Yosef tells his Talmud, Zil emalu l'marayu d'litznininu. I'm giving you a project now. Go, make sure these goats don't come into my property. Why should I go? Yeah, Zilna, because if I do go, I'm really look at the mar. You, Rav Yosef, you should put up a fence. Says Taisvis, that's against the halacha. Where are you going to my fence? You have goats, make sure they don't come to my property. Why should I have to put up a fence? Says Taisvis that Abaye didn't want to get into it. He was too lazy, so to speak. He wanted to get out of it. His Rebbe told him, if Rav Yosef told us to do something, we'd run and do. Abaye had other things to do. And he wanted to be responsible. So he told Rav Yosef, listen, it's not going to work. Don't worry, I'm not going to go there. It doesn't make any sense. They're not going to listen. Says the Gemara, let's say that it's the other guy's fault. It's the fault of the goat owner. How is it possible that there's ever a goat in somebody else's property? You have to make sure your goat is in a cage. Says because the goat got out. It dug underneath the gate. The fence fell down. Okay, so there's a oinus in the terms of the owner of the goat. It went out, and then this shen and b'shus is. Says Gemara, Rav Yosef would announce, some say it was Rabba, the salkin leilo. If you're coming from Bava to Eretz Yisrael, you're going upwards to Eretz Yisrael in a chut, with the nachtin letachta, and those who are going from Eretz Yisrael making a yerida. Hani easy the shuka. People are going to write to me, oh, you made the unachtin, you made a yerida now. Chasson, going back. Hani easy the shuka de mafsidei. These, okay, so Rashi explains that since people used to eat the meat as soon as as close as possible to the shechita, right? Otherwise, the animal will get ruined. There's no freezer. There's no whatever. So they would keep them over there by the marketplace until market day came, and then they would check them. But these goats are causing trouble now. The mafsede, even if they were mafsed in Rosh Hashanah, let's say, were they allowed to? Masrinim b'marayu trade loss zimna. We tell the owner 2 or 3 times. If he listens, he makes sure they don't cause damage. Great. Eli, if they're troublemakers, so we say tiv amasachta v'kabel zuzach. We're going to shech them right now, earlier than the market day, and take whatever you're going to take a little bit of a loss. That's because these animals are ready to be shechted. A regular animal, that's not the halacha. My animal causes damage, you can't shecht it. I want my animal. But he's going to be shechted anyways. When? On Thursday. Right now is Sunday. Sunday's not a great day to shecht it because we'll barely have any customers. No, so you take the loss. Says the Mishnah.
Why does it say 2 or 3? It doesn't have to be
3. Yeah. I don't. Anytime the Gemara says that kind of lashon, the Gemara asks, right, 40, 50. If it's 50, so why 40? Yeah. Says the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. Sponsored by Moshe Cohen, Lasochem Parnasa, and in Torah. Ezu tam ezu muad. In other words, how does, believe it or not, many of you might have not known this, a muad, a shar, an animal that did the same damage three times becomes a muad. Do you know he could do tshuva? He could do tshuva. Like a human being could do tshuva. And he goes backwards, becomes a tam. How does an animal do tshuva? Like a person. Take some anger management classes, and we provoke him, and we see if he doesn't do it. Great. How many times? How does it work? There's a famous Miram Rottenberg. I mentioned in the beginning of the Masechta. We're not going to go over it now, but perhaps we can learn from this halacha about Mashav Ruach Moed Geshem. If you say 90 times, you have to say 90 times in one day, 3 days. He bases it on this Mishnah. He tries to bring it right from this Mishnah. Muad kol sheyidu bo shlosh yamim. It has to be 3 separate days to be a muad. If a ox kills 3 animals in one day, that's not enough. It has to be 3 animals over a period of 3 days. V'tam, and how do you become about tshuva? B'shiyachze bo shlosh yamim. He sees an ox and he doesn't gore him. He doesn't do it 3 times. Divrei Rebbe Yehuda. Reb Meir oimer muad sheyidu bo shlosh yamim. It could even be in one day, 3 times in one day, one machlokes. The time, even when kids poke him and bother him, people that have normal dogs, not like my anacle, Allah Shalom. But if you have a dog that's trained, so a kid will go over to poke it in the eye and it won't do anything. That's a normal dog. So this kind of bull, kid goes, pokes it, even though it already killed 3 animals, now it's calm. So once we see that it's calm, it's going to be calm for other animals. Different yidden here. We're talking about animals, children. Okay, but the idea is that he did tshuva. You see that he went for the anger management, and now he reverts back to being a tam, that if he does do damage, he's only chayav chatzinezek. Rabbi Yisai, have a wonderful day. Gewaldige Shabbos. Good week if you're in Eretz Yisrael. Motzei Shabbos. 8:30 Be'ezer Hashem. Oh, we got to say Tehillim. We'll say together the Chavana Shir Hamalois Mimamakim Prosicho Adonai Shemo B'Koili Tienos Nechol Kashuvois L'Goyda Adonai Im Aboinois Tishmorio Adonai Miyamoid Ki Imcha Slicho Leman Tivorei Kivisi Adonai Gifso Nafshi V'Dvoroi Cholti Nafshi L'Adonai Mishemrim L'Aboike Shemrim L'Aboike Yachel Yisrael L'Adonai Kim Adonai Yachesed V'Arbei Moifedus V'Hu Yivdez Yisrael Mikol Abon Yisrael Acheinu Kol Beis Yisrael Anesunim B'Tzoro V'Shivyo Oimden Ben Bayom U'Ben Bayabosh Amokim Rachim Aleim Yitzim Tzol Revocha U'Me'afil L'Oiro M'Shiv L'Gula Hashtov Aglo V'Zman Koriv V'Noimar Omein Yishkoyach to Mark Ashkenazi.